Walt Harris. Oh my goodness. I have lost sleep. I have lost sleep for Walt Harris. I've never met him, but I feel like I know him and I feel like I've known him for a number of years. Just the way the business works. I know 5 people who all know him. He knows 5 people who know me, but I've never met him. It's one of these things. But you're part of that too, right? If a guy comes to a camera, if a guy goes into this kind of profession where he's out there, he's in the world, he's in your mind's eye, he's in your living room, even if it's on TV, you do have a relationship on some level. On some level, you are connected, and he does his job to make sure that you're connected. Now, when I talk about Walt, and the reason I tell you I've lost sleep over him, so Walt's stepdaughter goes missing. And this isn't all that long ago, guys. I mean, this was within the last calendar year. This whole thing came as, I want to say it was winter time of last year, right around December, January, November. Not a lot of time has passed, and she went missing. And this was a national search. And it largely became a national search because Dana White got involved. And a number of Walt's peers got involved. And they found her. And they found her body. She was deceased. Very tough, very heavy stuff. But I share that with you because it is very relevant as he goes into this contest. I mean, it is. In all fairness, it plays right over into his career. Same if that happened to any of you and then you got to get up and go to work. I mean, you're dealing with depression. You're dealing with a tough spot. You're also dealing with some frustration and some anger. And when you have emotions as strong as frustration and anger, how are you going to channel that? Most every coach who has ever got involved with a sport ever at the youth level largely did that. It doesn't matter if it's soccer or tennis or wrestling or basketball, it wouldn't make any difference. Most every coach gets involved at the youth level, gets involved because they see people within their community who have frustration and anger. They have somewhere that they need an outlet. The number one thing that a coach can do is not to teach you a sport. The number one thing a coach can do is to share with you a skill and send you home tired. More than anything, they will take you off the streets, know where you are, and when you go home, you're too tired to do anything. That's why every single sport has an element of conditioning. A lot of athletes don't understand that. A lot of athletes say, wow, this sport, it's all about conditioning. I gotta get these sprints in and get my lungs up. That's what we will lead you to believe when you're a young man. The real game that is being played there is we're going to make sure that whatever energy you have, whatever ants you have in your pants, get taken out and stay in this room, stay on this field, or stay on this court. That's the real game there. The reason I share this with you, even in professional athletics, even when you're dealing with a grown man like Walt, there is a very big question of how is he going to use this frustration and anger? How is he going to use that emotion? Is it going to eat him up? Is it going to freeze him? Is it going to unlock something? Now, Walt himself came out and said, after what I have been through, there is no man who can hurt me. You will never know the pain of what I have been through. And therefore, I do not need to worry about the pain of another man. Now, that's a very real statement. And what kind of guy Walt is, Walt passes the test either way. Walt getting up out of bed, moving forward, training, making the weight, and walking there with Reem, regardless of the outcome, Walt is being tested. And he has passed the test. Should he go out and have a performance, should it be a real thing like he is saying, where I do not have to have fear anymore? I will never feel a pain like the pain I've already felt. If that is a very real thing, and if that is what happens, then even more power to Walt. But I have heard a couple of narratives coming out. I guess maybe this is the real point of me talking about this. I heard a narrative come out that bothered me. And the narrative was very simple, but it was about Walt and the character that he has, and then directly tying that to the outcome of this contest. That's the part I got to push back on. No. The mere fact that Walt can get out of bed in the morning to prepare for his job, regardless of what his job happens to be. Whether you think this is a cool job or a hard job or somewhere in between, doesn't matter. The mere fact that he is pushing forward, preparing, gonna go try his best. Does that lead him towards a victory? Does that keep him in the... Nothing to do with anything. Walt's had a tough year, in a tough business, and he's moving forward. That's who Walt is. If there's any test out there, Walt's already passed it. Now, guys, look at it from the other side. How would you like to be Overeem? You know full well what Walt went through. It breaks your heart You want a good ending for this guy. You do not want to bring any more pain into this guy's year than he's already been through. You don't want to. But it's your job to. Overeem is now being tested. Overeem has to overcome these things. And I realize they're vastly different. They're vastly different. But to make believe that Overeem is in a good spot, imagine Overeem goes out there and starches Walt, knocks him out. Think Overeem's going to throw his hands up, jump up on the fence, go call somebody out, hoorah himself. No, man, that's going to be this terrible moment. It's one of these really weird spots. We saw something very similar to this one time. Jake Ellenberger fought Jake Shields. And within the week of the fight, Jake's father passed away. And I want to say, and I might be adding this to the story, I want to say like Jake was already in town for fight week and his father gets rushed to the hospital and passes away and Jake's in this limbo of what do I do, and he moves forward to the fight. I mean, even if I'm adding that in, the time was very close. So now Ellenberger, whose heart is breaking for Jake Shields, has to go out there and fight Shields. Oh, and by the way, Ellenberger knocks him out. I mean, you think Jake could go celebrate that? It's just a very tough spot. And I think that what we owe to Walt isn't that we cheer for him to go beat up Overeem. Well, you had a hard year and therefore, go hurt this guy. Nah, it's not like that at all. I think we need to just understand what a tough spot he's in. The fact that he's getting up and moving forward is nothing short of inspirational. I mean, that's an inspiring story. We know plenty of people, and maybe even done it in some walk ourselves, where something bad happens, world's a big place, we get stuck in the crack. We get stuck in the crack and we go and become a bad guy on whatever level that might mean. That could mean drugs, that could mean alcohol, that could mean just not fulfilling our responsibilities and our obligations that we have made. Whatever it is, we get stuck in the crack, but we can always turn and identify to anybody that calls us on us what got us there. Well, yeah, sure, I'm doing this, that, and the other thing, but let me tell you what happened to me. That's a very real thing. Not what Walt did. And what we owe this fight as fans, you are not compelled to cheer for Walt. And if you cheer for Alistair, it doesn't mean that you're a jerk and insensitive to what Walt went through. That's not what it is at all. Walt Harris is being tested. But guys, regardless of the outcome, Walt Harris already has passed the test.